Okay, guys, welcome back to another edition of Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And yes, I'm Stephen Edwards, and I'm still your host. And we're talking about what's going on in the world, how everything, everywhere, all at once seems to be happening all at once and is getting crazy. And so we're looking to find certainty and meaning in all this chaos and mayhem. And we're talking about the principles that are going to get us through this onto the other side as this vibration increases. A pattern is breaking down into a pattern of chaos right now in preparation for a new era, a new level of frequency, new sacred geometric patterns that are going to drive the consciousness higher. And so we're in preparation of that. And I've used the analogy of a caterpillar going into the cocoon in preparation to become a butterfly. But it's a major transformation, isn't it? And we can't expect to make this transformation using the same level of consciousness that got us where we are. It's not going to get us where we want to go, as Albert Einstein so powerfully and eminently said a long time ago. So we need to move to another level of consciousness, and it's a whole new way of being, a being from our heart and intuition. And I know that can sound airy-fairy because that idea, that concept of living from our heart, speaking from our heart, where something is heartfelt, has been put down because people in power have wanted to be able to control us through the mind. We have a mind-driven society, which is based in fear. And it's easy to control people when they're living from their mind, when they're living from their ego, because fear can control them. And the powers that be have always been afraid to lose control, because once people have their own power, step into their own power, and don't need to listen to the powers that be and are no longer afraid of them because the heart knows no fear, then those in power know they're going to lose their power back to the individual, to self-empowerment. And that's the movement now. It's about self-empowerment. So we're seeing wars happening all over the world. And the primary one, as we keep coming back to right now, we're using as an example is this war in Israel between whoever it's really between, right? Israel and Hamas, Israel and Palestine, Israel and Iran, Israel and China, or whoever it is, right? And, and people are saying it's a proxy war. America is using Israel as a pawn, and Hamas is being used as a pawn by Iran, and so on and so forth. But it's a reflection of a war that's going on within us all, right? So, and we're saying that we're saying that, to transcend this, we need to get into our heart intuition, which seems like a little crazy. But if you think about it, the ancients, like I said earlier, have been telling us this since the beginning of time. To live from the heart, to speak from the heart, to know that if something is true, it will be heartfelt. We say the heartfelt truth. The challenge is, no one's ever taught us how to do that. Well, how do you live from the heart? What does that even mean, right? So we're going to look at strategies, specific things we can do in order to live from the heart. The first thing we've got to do is to recognize there's a problem. It's not working, and we need an alternative strategy. So Brian Chesky, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Airbnb, one of the founders, says almost every business is conceived intuitively. Muhammad Ali said, wealth or position, if the heart is not great, then he cannot be great. But if the heart is great, that man remains great under all circumstances. Rich or poor, large or small, it is only the heart that makes one large or small. Albert Einstein said, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. And I've used the Yupik elders, the Alaskan tribe and their tradition, who says the same thing. We live in a reverse society. We live in an inside-out society. We're living the wrong way, and there is another way, and there is another solution. Jack Ma, who was the founder of Alibaba, which is kind of like the Amazon of China, huge business, very successful. He says, look, only fools use their mouth to speak. A smart man uses his brain, and a wise man uses his heart. And I've told you about the fact that, Jack Ma was asked about what's going on in the world and this revolution of technology. And he said, yeah, there's a war going on right now between technology and man, but humans will win that war. It's really a reflection of an internal war. He said, but human beings will win the war because human beings have something that technology and the machines do not have. And that is a heart. And that is where wisdom is found. And that's where our soul is. So Steve Jobs also wrote, that follow your heart and intuition, for it somehow knows where you want to go, right? And he also said the famous quote, right, which was, here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes. They're not fond of rules. They're the ones who see things differently, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. So are you crazy enough to get out of your mind, to be out of your mind, to live in your heart, to connect to your central intelligence agency right here? This is where the intelligence is. This is where wisdom is. So Steve Jobs has a lot to say about intuition and the heart. So does Jeff Bezos. I just watched him in an interview recently, and he said, look, most of the time I rely on my intuition to make decisions. One of the biggest companies in the world. Albert Einstein, we've already covered. There was a study done in Australia on entrepreneurs, and almost invariably, the entrepreneurs that were interviewed when asked about intuition said it's their go-to. That's where they make the majority of their decisions is made from intuition. And there's an institute here in the United States, I encourage you to go look into it. It's called the Heart Math Institute, that have verified scientifically that intuition is real. So look, this quote says, spirituality is the process of personal transformation. Deep within oneself, that's where the transformation occurs. It's your way of loving, accepting, and relating to the world and people around you with an open heart and mind. So look, Nikola Tesla said, if you want to find the secret to the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. The mind slows you down. You can only think 33 thoughts a second. The computer is 1 billion thoughts a second. So thought is slow and feeling is infinitely faster than thought. And when we connect with our feelings, our heart and intuition, and we connect to the earth and the universe, we can see things from a quantum level, maybe even from where God sees things and sees everything everywhere all at once. And has intelligence to be able to make a decision that nobody else could possibly make with their very limited perspective. So those who are willing to listen to the whispers of their spirit instead of the shouts of the world, those who follow the guidance provided by their intuition, walk through the doorways of abundance, peace, positivity, and compassion. Learn to listen, and most importantly, trust your intuition. Until next time, Sapere Ord. Dare to be wise.